How's it going, backpackers? Dave here with Off Grid. I'm into backpacking, hiking, camping, and gear. And today is part 2 of a series and a playlist that I'm entitling Backpacking Hacks and Pro Tips. So let's just dive right into the 5 that I have for you today. The first of which is to pack a cooler in your trunk with a bunch of drinks and maybe some food items for after you're done with the trail. This is basically just doing prep work before you ever head out on your backpacking trips. It's important to make sure that you're okay, especially if maybe you're running low on supplies when you finally get out of there and you return to the trailhead. It's always nice to just have an ice cold drink or something to eat, so make sure you pack a cooler with some ice blocks. That's tip number 1. All right, the second tip that I have for you is to try to search for items that are reusable. I'm not talking about reusable in the sense of, well, I can use this multiple times. I'm talking about reusable in the sense that it is not a Ziploc bag. So try to find something that an example of that would be a reusable bag, right? One of those silicone ones that you can take out into the field that has a little bit less of an imprint on the overall carbon footprint of being out there. Not that we're going to end up dumping our trash in the backcountry anyway, but I've noticed that on previous trips I took a ton of bags when I was out there, either trash bags, snack bags, whatever, that you have to kind of like take a bigger bag and divvy up into a smaller bag. So in an effort to try and get rid of that, I would just encourage you guys to try and find different ways that you can cut down on that carbon footprint, cut down on the amount of Ziploc bags that you're using, even though you can use them multiple times. Try to find reusable bags that you can use for many years, and especially ones that are dishwasher safe. That's also an added bonus. Okay, tip number 3 is also going to be in the way of planning or pre-planning before you even head out on your backpacking trips, and that is to say, cut down each one of your day's worth of food into individual bags. Not to kind of just toss aside what I just mentioned with the previous tip, get a reusable bag obviously, but try to divvy up into each day and kind of plan what you're going to eat on each day. And if you separate them out into each day's worth of food, then it's going to be a little bit easier for you to just mentally know what you need to do and just take that out of the equation when you're out on your trips. And one of the last things that you want to do when you're out there is kind of think on the fly and go like, all right, what am I going to eat today? What kind of combos am I going to go with? So by doing that work ahead of time, you're setting yourself up for success when you're out there. All right, tip number 4 on this one is going to be to do some pre-planning on the days that you're out there in the morning, which basically means this is again in regards to food, but like figure out what snacks you're going to have, especially if you did pre-planning from that previous tip that I had just mentioned of having each day's worth of food. If you have that day's worth of snacks out, take that out of that bag, put the rest of your food bag in your pack, and then grab those snacks, put them in your hip belt pocket, put them somewhere like close to your person, on your shoulder strap or whatever, something that's easy to get to so that you can just kind of have a snack on the go when you're out there. You don't want to have to think about like, well, I'm going to have to drop my pack and take it out of the food bag every time I want to grab a snack or grab a drink, you know, your electrolytes or whatever. Have all that stuff that you want to have on the trail close to you when you're packing up camp during the day. Think about like what you need to prep for the day, and it'll go a lot smoother when you're out there. All right, the last tip that I have for you today, tip number 5 in this part 2, is going to be again in regards to organization, and this time it's not necessarily going to be about your food, a little bit, but I'm definitely talking about different types of compartmentalization when you're out there. I was trying to think of the word, I couldn't think of it. Compartmentalization when you're out there, and that doesn't necessarily mean find a pack with a bunch of different zippers so that you can put different things into. If that's what you're into, by all means go for it. What I'm talking about here is think about how to divvy up those smaller items that are in your pack. What do I mean by that? Well, let me try to explain. So when you're thinking about packing your pack originally, or if you're a beginner in backpacking, you're going to be thinking about it into different buckets, right? You're going to be thinking, well, the toiletry bag is going to have all of my toiletries in it, all the ditties for that in that one. My food bag is just going to have all my food in it, right? And it makes sense from that perspective. And my toiletry kit is going to have everything that's regarded to, you know, pooping out in the backcountry, going to the bathroom when you're out there. And I'm kind of urging you to kind of go in a slightly different direction there. I think, you know, you should still think of them as those kits, but there are certain things that I think you should take out and put into other kits. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's a term that I'm going to snag and borrow from my buddy Dan over at Backpacking Adventures. Make sure you check his channel out. But there's a term that he used that's just kind of stuck with me, and it's not a word, but it's just stuck with me this whole time, and it's the word smellables. So the idea is that in your bear bag, something that you're going to hang up at night, or your bear can, or whatever you end up using out there, you want to make sure that you have everything that smells, everything that can attract animals or rodents or whatever in that bag or that bear can at night. What that basically means is that there might be some things in your toiletry kit that might have a scent or an odor to it that you're going to want to put into your bear bag. So instead of having to think about that every single night and just going like, all right, well, I'm just going to use all my toiletries and then put what I need into my bear bag and then hang it up at night, I would urge you guys to think about that ahead of time and then end up taking those things out of one bag and leaving it into another. So what I end up doing when I'm out there, and I kind of learned this after a few different trips, is that I took certain things out of my toiletry kit, like you know, if you have a lotion that you like to bring out there, or a chapstick, or the biggest one is like a tube of toothpaste or something like that if you don't have the tablets for toothpaste and brushing your teeth. So take all that stuff out of your toiletry kit and just leave it into your bear bag permanently, or your bear can permanently, and that way you never have to think about that at night, and it's just there, right? The only thing that you need to think about is don't hang up your bear bag or place your bear can somewhere off to the side without brushing your teeth first, right? But at least that way you know that everything that you need to hang at night and keep out of reach of other animals and rodents and critters and stuff is, you know, already done for you. So that'll definitely go a long way in helping you out and taking out less stuff that you really need to think about when you're out there. And I don't know about you, but I always want to make things easier when I'm out there and not more difficult, and that has gone a long way in helping me on my trips when I go backpacking. So that's it for part 2 of this series of backpacking hacks and pro tips. Thanks so much for watching this week, guys. Again, if you haven't seen the first one, either check the playlist, I'll leave a link in the description, I'll put a card at the end of the video as well. For the first one, check out the first video, and then be on the lookout for other videos that I have coming down the line in this series. But thanks for watching. If you have a comment that you'd like to leave on today's video, feel free to hit me up down below. I love reading through all your comments and getting the discussion going. But that's it for this week, guys. And remember, if you're headed off grid, make sure you do your research and make it a safe one, and I'll catch you on the next video. The first tip that I have for you today is in regards to making sure that you know what you're talking about. So that's definitely something that I learned after a couple trips, and hopefully you can, I don't know how to say that one. So that's definitely the last pro tip. Nah, that's not it either.